Jesse Smithey in the house. So, Smithey?
Smithy.
Smithy. Oh,
It's
like
a,
me,
it's,
but
it's
Smith.
a weird name, man. I get it misspelled and mispronounced all the time, so it's cool.
Smithy.
Yeah, Smithy.
Oh, I like that. That's easy for me to remember.
Yeah.
Just talk about the old Smith clan that I'm from. Add a little Y.
That's all right.
My God. So 5-star preps, former News Sentinel. Obviously, we've built a really awesome relationship over the last few months here, so I figured we'd sit down and just chat. You're used to interviewing other people.
That's
so
right. Yeah, I'm used to being on your side of the table, asking all the hard questions and taking it easy. So I'm on the grill. I'm being grilled today.
All the times in my career that I got, I don't want to use the word attacked, prompted by the media to try to get a hot take. The tables have turned, old buddy.
That's right.
I'm coming after you.
All right. I'll throw out whatever hot takes I can come up with.
No, I mean, this is going to be all positive. I love it. Like I said, our relationship's been cool. It's been fun. Let's just talk about you a little bit, man. Like, News Sentinel, obviously. That's where it all started. Journalism, I'm assuming, is studied media. I'm not familiar with how you get to where you get as a News Sentinel reporter.
Right.
So when you were working for the News Sentinel, what was your job title?
So I started out as a grunt worker. Like I didn't go into college at UT saying I'm going to be a sports writer. I kind of wound my way through college and kind of stumbled into it just because I had a love for sports. So I got a late start in journalism because of that. So a lot of the guys that graduated UT that I kind of worked with at the Daily Beacon and whatnot had so much experience coming out of college, and I hardly had any. So the News Sentinel started a website at that time called knoxpreps.com.
Yep.
And they were going to do it to start putting schedules in, rosters, stats. And one of my professors at UT said, hey, this is an opportunity to get your foot in the door. And I applied for it. And I waited and waited. And I was about to take an assistant coaching job for golf at Webb School of Knoxville. And then the day before, Steve Ahillen, one of the sports editors at the News Sentinel, called me and said, we'd like to bring you on. So I took that job instead. And here we are all these years later. But yeah, I was just a grunt worker. I just put in stats, rosters, schedules for about 30 teams at that time and got it going. And then we did basketball. And then as I became more proficient, they started teaching me how to do page layout. And then as I got more proficient at that, a year or two later, hey, let's start letting him write a little bit, go out and cover some high school stuff here and there. So by about 2006, I'd kind of fully taken over as the editor of what became Prep Extra. knoxpreps.com became prepextra.com. And so, yeah, it kind of all started from there and stayed there until 2014.
Man, that is crazy. So all because of a resume you sent in that almost didn't pan out.
Yeah. Could have been a coach, could have been a golf coach, or who knows what it would have happened after that.
That's awesome. It's funny you talk about golf. My man Scott Stallings was on here earlier today, so we were in here talking about just the wild world of golf and the similarities / differences in team sports compared to what he's been so successful at such a long time. He's such a great guy.
Yeah, I've covered him. I was actually the golf writer at the News Sentinel too, so I covered Scott's rise from college golf to winning on the PGA Tour and going down to cover him at the Masters 2 or 3 years, staying down there for the whole week and watching him perform there. So I know Scott Stallings well, and he's as good as they come, and it's been awesome to see him stay out at the PGA Tour. It's really hard to stay on the PGA Tour now, and because the amount of players and good players coming up just keeps getting bigger and better every year.
No question. And that was kind of our big thing is it's okay to be fired up for Jesus. And regardless of what your religious beliefs are, whatever, it's okay to be a great guy and fired up for God, but also be a dog and just want to beat people and win and be great. And the balance of trying to create 5-star into being the best media outlet, the place everyone goes for sports, the place everyone gravitates to when they need information, but also having balance as a husband and a father and keeping all this balancing act as manhood. Me and Scott were going down that crazy rabbit hole after a good workout, so we were both all fired up.
Yeah, it definitely gets complicated when you get married and family comes into the picture. And I can remember when I was at Tennessee, Gene Wojciechowski, noted ESPN writer, one of their best writers, graduate of University of Tennessee. He came to speak to our class, journalism class, and I remember asking him just like what it's like to be out on the road that much and be away from your family. And he started talking about how the difficulties of it were and how many people were divorced. And then I remember being at the News Sentinel and just the divorce rate among sports writers and journalists in general was really high. And I'm a Christian man, and I value my family, and I want to be with my wife as much as I can, or my kids as much as I can. So that's one of the many reasons why I never went off to do college football or pro sports, because at the end of the day, I wanted to be a husband and a family guy. And so doing high school sports allowed me to do that. Nobody grows up wanting to be a high school football writer, but as you get older and you start to learn the business and you see what appeals to you and your values and what you love to do, man, high school is where it was at for me.
So funny you say that, because kindred spirits always find each other, right? Like, everybody asks me all the time, like, why didn't you want to coach college or pro football? And I'm like, hey, man, listen, I got a lot of resources in the game of football. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to coach baseball or soccer or basketball, I'd have to start at grassroots. I could probably start with a decently high-ranking position for a first-year coach and get my foot in the door in a pretty accelerated way, right? Had a decent reputation. I got a lot of friends that were coaches. You start becoming better friends with the coaches than your teammates at times. I love Kyle Pitts. He's like my little brother. He called me the day I forgot to call him back. Sorry, Kyle. I'll call you back today now that I just thought about that. But my point is, I love him. He's a little bro. He's going to make $100 million plus playing football. He's just special. But he's using words I don't understand. Right? My tight end coach, who has kids and a wife, he's living a more similar life to me every day. We're arguing with our wives, or our kids are, struggling in math or whatever it is. So you start growing towards the coaches as you become an older player, especially when you have kids. But what I saw as I grew closer and closer to the coaches was, oh my goodness, their personal lives are struggling. They're never home. Every time I leave,
even in the NFL?
Even in the NFL. Well, college is the worst.
Yeah.
It's terrible because they got to recruit. So no NFL coach will ever tell you, I want to go back to college.
Yeah.
There's a lot of college coaches trying to get into the NFL because they're tired of chasing around, 16 to 18-year-old goofballs, whining and dining them and promising them the world just so they can cuss them out when they finally get them.
Correct.
So it's a disaster. I would rather be kicked in the private parts every morning of my life to start my day as opposed to coaching college football. Mm-hmm. But the NFL, even so, it's like you move – because here's the deal. Like, we could have gone 0-17. If I would have blocked my guy and kicked butt as a tight end, I kept my job. As a coach, man, like, all of a sudden, like, you don't have a quarterback, number one, you're dead. Your roster, sometimes the general manager and the owner, sometimes you don't even get to pick the roster,
right.
Especially, in healthy organizations you do. But believe it or not, the NFL is owned by a bunch of rich, white, egomaniac billionaires with a B. So it's like they're going to do it their way, man. Jerry Jones is going to pick the quarterback he wants.
Yeah.
And there's just all these things that go on, and you're moving your family, and you're jumping around, and it's just in season. Yeah, in the off season, sure, they got a lot better schedule than what college coaches do because there's zero recruiting needed. But still, just like you're saying, like it's like, man, why is there so – and player divorce rate is the same as well, but it's normally transitioning out, and there's all these other, determining factors with players, financial reasons. It's a little bit of a mess which is my passion for a lot of the things I'm doing with former players and stuff. But yeah, man, the coaching world, the marriage fatality rate is high.
Yeah.
So once again, I'm like you. I didn't grow up saying, man, I want to be around high school sports. Mm-hmm. But it keeps me at home. I get to pour into all these middle school and high school athletes here at Triple F. My kid's a high school player. My younger kid's a middle school player. Well, there's nothing better, man. It's the most purest form of football, the most purest form of all these sports. And I'm eat up with just youth athletics and these kids here. But like you, man, like I wasn't going on that pro or college journey just because of the same thing you saw with those journalists. I saw it.
Yeah, so you're in the newsroom, or me, I'm in the newsroom at the Sentinel, and I'm next to Mike Griffith and John Adams and Mike Strange, and I hear all their gripes about covering college sports. And the majority of it stems around access. Tennessee is huge, and the amount of people that they grant access to is very limited. And the more media that shows up, they're going to be more protective. And so at the high school ranks, I can go to any practice I want, to any game I want, be on the sidelines, ask a coach whatever, and they're going to say, yeah, we'd love to have you. Mm-hmm. And so over time, I'm like, well, I don't want to struggle with what they're struggling with. this high school gig's not too bad. It's really not. And so the more I was around it, the more I grew to love it. And then as you start talking about the kids, I mean, that's awesome. Like you're there at their beginning stages of whether they go on to stardom or they go on to be a doctor or businessman. A lot of times I'll see them later on in life and they'll be like, man, you interviewed me for this, or we did this together. And that taught me how to be interviewed and speak on camera or what have you. So you're part of their developmental stage, even if you're not their coach. And that's something I find really rewarding. And now that I'm in my 40s, there are guys that I'm covering their kids now that I covered them, way back when in the mid 2000s. So that's different. That's really different to adjust to. But yeah, just being a part of their journey has been really cool.
Yeah, heck, I'm one of them. I'm one of the kids.
I interviewed you a long time ago. Yeah, I used to do this thing called 10 Questions, and I remember talking to you on the phone. I'm sure you probably don't remember that. You've done so many interviews, but yeah, that was back in like 04, 05. I can't remember what year you graduated, but yeah, I interviewed way back in the day when you were at PAL.
It's crazy. And now you got my boy in the high school ranks around here, and my younger boy coming right behind him. Mm-hmm. It's crazy, but like you said, man, like everyone. Let's just use Scott Stallings for an example, because that's the easy one we've already talked about today. So Scott, when you were watching him on tour, it meant more. Mm-hmm. Like when you see him around town, it means more. When he went to championship, it means more. The folks that started covering Scott Stallings once he was already on tour, they don't have that personal touch.
Right.
That when he transitions out of golf, regardless of what he does in the next chapter, they're stuck in the vortex of PGA Tour. Mm-hmm. They don't get to see the guy's life after football. They just, like I said, they get stuck in that vortex, and it's just next man up. Who's on tour now instead of Scott? Scott retired, or Tiger's obviously falling apart physically, so now it's like, they're just desperate for that new guy to be coverable and bring the energy that Tiger brought to golf. So I'm with you, man, 100%, 5,000%. You do life with these kids, and then they're like I said, my high school teammate is now my primary care physician, and his son's a member at the gym.
Oh wow!
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's community, it's hometown, and I loved pro football. It blessed my life beyond measure, but getting to do life with these people and watching them. My high school teammate, man, he was a fullback. He used to run and hit people with his head. Mm-hmm. And now he's prescribing me medicine. Yeah. It's like, I don't know if this is okay or not. I don't know if I should. I'm not going to say anything inappropriate. He'll kill me. But he's my guy. It's cool. I'm so proud of him. I'm literally so stinking happy for him that he went through the grind and did the things necessary. I'm a doctor, not like, and then a lot of my other buddies are doing so many cool things. And now getting to help him raise his kid. And him, because all these boys tune out their dads now.
Yeah.
Mine does.
Yeah.
So now I get to be a resource for my high school teammate, who's now my doctor. Now I get to do life with his son. Mm-hmm. The times that his son might tune him out, boom, I'm there. And it's just cool, man. It beats all the college, pro, all that stuff. Sure, those guys make good money and they get bigger media coverage and they're on a grander stage. But it's on our deathbed, is it going to matter?
Yeah.
Or is all the people we touch going to matter? And that's what high school sports does. And then middle school sports too, but high school sports is the best, bro.
Yeah, and my wife can attest to this. I've always tried to do right by every kid, every coach. I don't like to burn bridges, and I don't like to write the stories where so-and-so gets in trouble or this school gets in trouble. That stuff causes me to lose sleep, anxiety. Like most reporters love that stuff. And maybe that's why I didn't belong up in pro sports or whatever, because when that stuff happens, I kind of cringe, whereas most reporters will jump all over it and, just suck the blood out of that story. And I hate doing that stuff. I like featuring kids. I like featuring teams, the good stuff about sports. And that's why I got into it. Not the dirty, nasty stuff that happens on the backside. And yeah, I have had to write some of those stories, and I've hated every second of it, but that's not what we're about. I mean, that's not why we're out to create a media brand. We want to bring a positive spotlight as much as we can.
No question. That's my pet peeve. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have many. I probably have more than I realize. My wife would probably tell you I have more than, but former players that go into the media and crush players. I'm like, oh, why?
Yeah.
Like there's a way to use your knowledge and understanding of the game. Like when I was at UT's Texas A&M game, I'm watching things no one else is watching. Mm-hmm. That play didn't work. I don't have time to get frustrated and yell. because I'm analyzing why it didn't work and how they need to fix it. And not that Hype needs my help.
Right.
He sure doesn't. He's not only a dang good man, but he's a dang good football coach. And he already knows why it didn't work. But I just am a student of the game, and I love the game. So if I was up there as a reporter, like, there's a way that I can call the game and do these things without attacking players.
Yeah.
And same for you in the media. It's like you see these guys, and it's like you can tell when they write the article they're enjoying it.
Yeah.
They're enjoying other people's demise and failure, and it's like, come on, man. You can report on the facts like this happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate this happened. But when it gets kind of personal, and like you said, it's almost like you can feel the blood getting sucked out of it to keep people reading and keep people entertained, which is why, once again, kindred spirits get along great. That's why I'll never forget when we first started talking, and it was like, obviously, when I first opened the gym, I came to you. We won't go back to that. We'll just celebrate this. But when everything came back around this year, and it's like, man, I think we might do something with 5-star. I talked to my kids, and I'm like, my boys, my girls aren't looking at 5-star. Sorry, my daughter's starting to play volleyball.
Okay.
So she might be there soon.
We got some stuff up.
But he's like, Dad, it's a no-brainer. That's all the kids care about in this town.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, really? Because I don't play in the social media land too much, or media land at all. Just naturally, as a pro athlete, the more you stay away from it, the better you do. But I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, Dad. It's literally they own the town. And I'm like, well, that's cool. So then, tell me how you got there. To all the people in town, how in the world did 5-star become 5-star?
Yeah. So in 2014, I'd kind of plateaued. I feel like at the News Sentinel, I wasn't enjoying high school coverage as much. I wanted a new challenge at that point, and I wanted to maybe look at covering college basketball. At that point in my life, I was like, maybe I should try something different just as a refresh. And that didn't happen. And also at the same time, the newspaper industry was losing subscribers rapidly, and budget cuts were affecting things that we could do and couldn't do.
So
and
when sorry, I'm going to interrupt you.
Sure.
So when you say subscribers, is this online, or is this like people that subscribe to have it dropped on their doorstep? It's everything.
Yeah, so just our overall footprint was just kind of reducing, and I think online media had a lot to do with that, and social media had a lot to do with that. And at that point, I'm thinking we just had our second kid, and I'm like, well, maybe I need to have a new career. I've kind of reached my peak at the News Sentinel. What else is out there? And so I left sports media, not altogether, but I left the newspaper and got on with a company called Playwright. They do synthetic turf, football fields, putting greens, lawns, just everything. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I can put my network of people together with this and turf and have some type of sales career. And I still did a lot of freelance media on the side just in case I ever wanted to get back into it. So I just want to keep my skills fresh in that regard. But around 2017, I had some friends that I know that are businessmen here in town that said, hey, the coverage has really kind of dropped for high school sports. Yeah, the News Sentinel still does some things and whatnot, but it's just not like it used to be with Prep Extra. And they said, would you be interested in starting something? And I said, well, if we do something, it's got to be big from the jump. It can't just be a little blog that we hope people start to pay attention to and, 5 years down the line might get some money for. I was like, we have to do it the right way from the jump, or I'm not in. And so for all of fall 2017, we brainstormed, we talked to sponsors, got told no a lot because they didn't really know what it was going to be, and to be honest, we didn't really know what it was going to be. But those two businessmen pulled together some funds, and we had some solid investors. And so I think around January 2018, we started building the site and what we wanted it to do and how we wanted it to function. And so in May of 2018, we debuted it down for the spring fling, basically, the TSSAA state championships for all the spring sports, and kind of gave people an idea of what was coming in the fall of 2018 for football, how we were going to cover things, what our stories are going to look like, what our photos are going to look like, video, everything, and just try to do it as big as possible and as much as possible. We wanted to be out in the community as much as possible and let them know we cared about them, whether their story got 5 clicks or 5,000 clicks. And so that's just how we've gone about our business. Volleyball and soccer and cross country, we know those aren't the bell cow sports in East Tennessee. It's always football, but we still want to go out and tell their stories and cover their games and celebrate their team championships as if they were a state football championship because they bust it too. They're in here training too. And so people appreciate that. And I think that's why we've been able to survive this far.
100%. That's just like around here. I'm like, I am not public service announcement, folks. I am not a football facility.
Yeah.
I played football for a long time. That's what God blessed me with as my gift. But Rich and all these, Nate, Kevin, like everyone here is built to grow athleticism, not grow football players. I'm decent at growing football players, but I'll fill that void helping coach my boys' teams and different things around town. But I'm with you, man. Like, we have a female rower here. Like, she grinds. Like, we have female tennis, volleyball, softball. Like, they grind. And you see how hard they work. And, of course, in the South, football is the front porch to every school year. Like, there's no secret. Football's going to own the school. That's, once again, I'm on a little bit of a mission with FCA right now.
Yeah.
And a couple of those guys. Like, if we can change the hearts of our high school football players, we can change the hearts of schools. And I want to figure out a way to try to get all these dudes, because I know how their brains work. I know how they think. I know the things they're doing. I know all that stuff that you don't want to cover, right? If they happen to become
Absolutely.
young Lee Smiths. So, which you probably didn't mind covering me. You're probably killing me. I need to go back and do a little Google search. No, I'm kidding. But like getting a hold of those boys and saying, hey man, like let's go do some awesome stuff and change our locker rooms. That then change, because you're the front porch of the school year.
Right.
When fall football hits, school starts. Like if our football players will start acting right and just being fired up for God. Anyways, it'll be awesome. But so 5-star preps, 2 investors. I think I know a couple of them.
You probably met them, yeah.
But good for them, man. Good for them. So what does it look like for you? Obviously, football's football, right? But then you look at Catholic girls. I give all the boys from Cat. Now Steve's back. He's winning. They almost beat Macaulay a couple weeks ago. I texted you and said, "Bro, did they pull it out?"
Yeah.
You said, "No, they really lost at the end." But obviously now that Steve's back, Catholic football they're rocking. But Catholic girls sports are kicking butt and taking names. Like the best tennis team in the country or something.
They do.
Bearden girls soccer's unbelievable. They tied with some team from New York a few weeks ago, and Brody was like, "Dad, all the girls were crying. They haven't lost a game in like 100 years. They tied, and they were all destroyed." They got a couple of those girls here, and they're gangsters, man.
Yeah.
I went. So a few of my girls were Bearden girls soccer players, so they asked me to come watch a game. So I'm like, all right, no problem. So I go watch the Farragut game. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Bro, they were beating the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
They were gangsters. And I didn't take my eyes off the game the whole game. And once again, my daughter's playing volleyball now, so I better get into girls volleyball in a hurry or she's going to disown me as her dad, and I think I'll enjoy it. But I've never truly sat down and watched, and I guess really just been female basketball in my experience. But it was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, and those girls, like you start hearing they use a guy over at PTI, I think. I always forget his name, but he's always got crazy dressed, and he's got like tie-dye hats backwards, and he's a wiry-looking dude. But I should know his name. I want to say Jonathan, but that's probably not right. Anyways, he trains the Bearden girls soccer team. And from what I hear, he's a drill sergeant. He gets after their butt. So, like, those girls are grinding, and then all of a sudden they're unstoppable, and they're doing all this and doing all that. And then you go watch them play, and then you also watch Farragut girls, and it's like that Bearden-Farragut rivalry is huge. And even though Bearden girls are unbeatable in this town, Farragut is still fighting. And it was cool for me, man, just to watch how physical and how hard they worked. So it's cool to hear you say that. And plus all our girl members that I love, we train their butts off, and they grind. And our girls in this environment, man, it can be an intimidating environment when Trevor Duncan walks in here to train.
Yep.
And or some of these other boys that are going off to play big-time college football, because our big-time baseball players and soccer players and all that, they don't have the stature of like our future football guys.
Sure. And
And then you got 12 or 13-year-old little girl in here, and our boys know how to act, or I whip their ass. but like our girls are dogs.
Yeah.
And then to go watch them play in person. Like I said, female soccer has my heart now at the high school level anyways. I don't know how it looks after that. But, man, anyway, sorry, I rambled a lot.
man, and like you're talking about your daughter getting into volleyball. Man, I've been to some high school matches. Like, volleyball is wild. Like, it's fast-paced, it's exciting, it's emotional, and it's just like, man, what have I been missing all these years? Because usually during football, like, my days are just swamped with football. And so that's why I need a staff of guys that's like, hey, I need you to go cover soccer tonight. I got 5 hours worth of football stats to type up, or I need you to go out to volleyball. And so that's often the case. But the times that I get to go out and cover volleyball or cover soccer, man, it's passionate, it's aggressive, it's physical. The fan base is surprisingly like bigger than I thought it would be for those sports. And maybe it's because it's a state sectional game or it's a region championship game that I'm at because it's like that. Maybe the sample size doesn't accurately portray what it's like in week one of the season, but still, I mean, it's you see the support in this town. And God, I was somewhere today for a football thing, and there were two guys out in the crowd said, "Hey, give our Beard and Girls soccer team a shout out when you get up there." So the passion is there in this town, and that's why you got to love it.
I love it, man. And listen, I don't need any hot takes or hate mail for my female sports comments, but the more and more I open the gym and go watch these girlies play, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And did you see the Nebraska girls volleyball thing?
I saw where they played outdoors or something like for like
90,000. Yeah,
90,000. Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah,
and now that Chubb, I call her Chubb, she'll be mad at me. Addison, my baby, is playing volleyball. I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on her butt all the time because I got two daughters, Amanda and Addison, better known as Chubb. Amanda has never been super fired up about sports, and that's okay. She's my buddy, and Addison hasn't either. But finally, I got her. I got her getting fired up about volleyball. So I'm excited to become a girls' dad, a girls' sports dad. What do you got? One boy.
I got one boy who's 10, and then I have a daughter who's 15, and she's into competitive dance, and she's also on the dance team at Bearden. And dude, when I tell you, like, I never see her, like, I don't see her. Like, she gets out of school at 3 something, and she's at Bearden practicing for 2 or 3 hours. She gets in the car and goes over to Revolution Dance over at Kingston Overlook, and she's there for 2 or 3 hours. She's getting home at 9, quick dinner, schoolwork, maybe look at her phone for an hour just to kind of relax, and it's repeat the next day. And so they're trying to get me to add dance coverage to 5-star preps, and that's what I'm saying, man. They go at it like they're pro athletes. Like, I mean, it's 4, 5, 6 days a week. I never worked that hard in high school when I was an athlete. I mean, the hours they're doing per day is wild.
It's bananas. And that's been the one thing here at Triple F is obviously I wanted to build a culture that grew young people. Mm-hmm. Parents pay me to let their kid jump higher, run faster, and play better on the field or court or track or pool or whatever. But these kids have no off season, man.
Yeah. And
it's like, talking about your daughter, the Beard and Dance team's got me a couple times for a couple donations. Uh-oh. Shout out to the Gold family. They got me there.
Now I know that. You'll be hearing from me too.
Come on, man. Bearden's been after me.
Yeah.
But that's okay. All the schools come after me. I want to support everybody in this town, right? We always will. Triple F will always be here for our schools and our teachers and principals and coaches. And but the dance team, they're number 1 in the country, aren't they?
I know they won. This is her freshman year, so I don't know like what they've won in years past. She was at West Valley last year, and they won state championships and this, that, and the other. So I know they're really good, and they got state championships coming up, I think, this weekend in Murfreesboro. And they're probably favored to win them both in the categories they're competing in. That's
awesome. Well, freshman at Bearden, I said my boy's a sophomore over there, and my daughter's an 8th grader at West Valley still.
Okay.
So yeah, man. So you're loving it. 5-star preps. So how do you balance? Just for all the folks out there, how do you balance trying to please everybody? Mm-hmm. And not only as a businessman, but as a husband and a father, right? We're always trying this balancing act. And you have all these schools that want coverage. I can only imagine how many emails you get of why haven't you covered this team or why haven't you covered that team? So if there is anybody actually watching our podcast here, what is the biggest struggle for you to try to please everybody? Because I know it's impossible to do.
Yeah, it's impossible to do. At some point, we see a lot of these messages. A lot of the times, I'll just not check my DMs on Instagram. It's really, really bad. Emails, I'll check some here and there. And we want to appease these people, and some of them may even be subscribers. Yeah. And so we hear that, and we try to take it into account. But at the end of the day, I mean, we just have to do like what we feel is best for week 11 of the football season. We need to cover this game, that game. Let's go out to this school because we haven't hit them this year. I need some photos of this team because they're probably not going to be in the playoffs, but I need photos of their players, so let's go hit them. And so that's why I have a team of freelancers. I have no employees. They're all independent contractors. They're all freelancers, people that I've worked with in the past at the newspaper or some other media outlet. And so that's just kind of how I go about it. Yeah, we have 75 schools in our coverage area. We don't have 75 reporters. We can't be at everybody's game.
Crazy.
So we try to hit 5 or 6 games from a writing standpoint, 2 or 3 from photography, a couple for videography, and just kind of spread the love as much as we can. And yeah, it's you can look on our Facebook page or wherever and see people complaining. That's good though. I learned a long time ago that usually your biggest haters are the ones that love you the most.
100%.
I had this dude that used to just trash me to no end on social media. And I won't say from what school, but when I left the newspaper and when we announced that we came back, he was the most excited because he knew like what I would do and how I worked. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but those people that are griping the most are oftentimes your biggest fans.
No question. So me and Alicia went to a Tennessee game for the first time. My man Heavy Harris out at Dynabody Fitness in Maryville. We got a couple tickets in his suite. He was on me about, he just sold Dynabody. So after a million years of hard work, everybody thinks, man, I just want to grind. That way I can chill. And then you finally earn the right to chill, and it's like, oh, my God, I'm going to lose my mind. Mm-hmm. So it's this crazy act in life. But anyways, so Heavy's my guy. I love him. So me and Alicia finally go to a game. And just the people. Now, granted, some of these are teenage boys down there who no one wants to win more than them, I promise you. But people are just going off, and my wife gets so frustrated because, in her eyes, that's going to be her sons one day. Mm-hmm. She had to deal with it with her husband forever. I'm like, babe, there's no way they would be reacting that way if they weren't obsessed and in love with this. Yeah. Like, they are the reason we have the life we have because people love sports, especially football in this country and especially in the South. And just when you look at it that way of like, man, if they're talking about you at all, that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. And if they're raising Cain about you, that's a good thing too. What Lane Kiffin used to always say, any attention is good attention. Yeah. The more people that hate me, the better off I'll be. Mm-hmm. And he'll be a head coach forever. Like no matter what, if Lane Kiffin's on the street, somebody will hire him. Yep. And that doesn't mean everybody loves him, to say the least. But I know I'm not trying to compare you or me to Lane Kiffin. Okay, but good. Yeah, no, that's Lane out there. Whew, my man Lane. I mean, all the guys in Oakland loved him. Yeah. But Lane's Lane, right? But Lane doesn't apologize for being Lane. Yep. So, man, it's just cool to hear you say that. You're right. Sometimes the haters they miss you when you're gone. Mm-hmm. And they might just be doing it just to see if they can get a rise out. Man,
I feel like I have pretty thick skin for 20 years of doing this, but there's that one day where you're in the mood, you're in a bad mood, and then somebody sends you that DM, and dude, it just gets under your skin, and it will ruin the rest of your day. And so it happens most of the time. Like I said, I ignore it. I don't check my DMs or don't read the comments. So it's out there, and it's social media now. It's kind of turned into what it's turned into, but it's still a useful tool for us. I mean, that's where we post all of our stories and put sponsors out there and everything. So it's a necessary evil sometimes.
No question. Yeah. No question. And what's funny, you say that, like, this is going to be horrible.
I love how you always preface it with that.
Obviously.
It always gets me on the edge of my seat.
Obviously, with Triple F, I am super, super diligent about making sure if there are any complaints or criticisms that we're on top of it, especially from our, like you said, some of the people that are upset on 5-star might even be subscribers. Mm-hmm. Well, let's listen to them first. If you're paying for our product and you've trusted us and you believe in us and you're supporting our families, I'm all in. I'm all ears. But to the people, especially when I was a player, like I never looked at it. Ever. Mm-hmm. Like, to all the people out there who think you might have been able to get under Lee Smith's skin, I never saw a word you said. Ever. I can guarantee it. Because as a human being, no matter how tough or thick-skinned you are, or no matter all these people, I don't care what anybody thinks or says about me. Yes, you do. Mm-hmm. You're a human being. Like, if you're a decent person, of course you care what your reputation is, what people say. So, like, if someone's out there saying Lee Smith's a dirtbag and a horrible husband and father, then I'm gonna have an issue with that. But if someone has a problem with my holding penalty. Sorry, I didn't try to hold the guy. Trust me, I hate it just as much as you do. But it's funny how you said that. Like, normally it doesn't bother you, but the right thing at the right time. It's crazy how some dude, I'll never forget, and I tell this story all the time. And I talk about Brody too much on here, but he's naturally my oldest. I'm going to get his butt out of the house and start talking about all my other kids more. But he's the oldest. He's the guinea pig of the family, right? So we'll screw it up with him, and he'll roll off, and we'll get better with the younger three. But he was older while I was playing, and we were at, it's called Wegmans in Buffalo. It's like Kroger.
Yeah.
And he had his phone, and somebody was jabbering. I probably had holding penalty. I jumped off sides 2 times, or so I had a real, like, 1 year I jumped off sides more than anybody in the league. I felt like it was crazy. I just couldn't stay in my stance. It was wild. It was like I had a tick. It was like Charles Barkley's golf swing in my stance. It was horrible, bro. I could not stop. So I was getting beat up online or whatever, and he's getting upset about it. People at school said something or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we were in line, and I pointed at the guy in front of me, not to be judgmental, not to be mean, but the guy probably spent a lot of time in his mom's basement, as an adult.
Yeah.
And I said, Brody, that's the person that could be talking about me. Why do you care? Like, that it could be him. It could be the guy over there that's the banker. It could be the attorney. It could be the mechanic that changes, that works on our cars. It could be anybody. Like, but you don't know you don't know them. It doesn't matter. Like, they don't know the father I am to you. They don't know the husband I am to your mother. Like, these people don't know us. But then when you start talking about running a business like me and you're running, and it's a Triple F member or family member has an issue, I'm going to listen.
Yeah.
5-star subscriber has an issue, I'm going to listen. But the DM hate from somebody who doesn't pay for a subscription, doesn't truly value what 5-star brings to the table. They just want to get a rise out of Jesse Smithey.
Yeah.
And they get it. It's like, oh, you son of a gun.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah, I learned a long time ago not to get into social media fights, but this Saturday, like I don't sleep on Friday nights. I mean, I go to bed at 5 in the morning. I get up, I'm resharing some things, maybe posting a photo gallery I didn't get to Friday night. I mean, I just work ungodly hours on Friday night. So I'm already kind of edgy on Saturday. And so I just checked my Facebook, and one of the comments on our 5-star preps page wound up in like my own individual personal notifications. And so I saw it. And so it just set me off. And I responded. This person was accusing me of not giving so-and-so respect. And so I screen grabbed our article and said, well, we did give them respect. Here's what we wrote. And that wasn't good enough for them. And so it just became, I was like, I'm not getting into this back and forth. I'm done.
Yep.
So, I mean, they duped me into that one, but I didn't go any farther with it. But, yeah, it's just, there are people we will listen to. Again, if it's a subscriber, we'll check their name when they email us. Are they a subscriber? Then, okay, let's pay attention. Let's take heed on what they're saying here. Maybe it can be fruitful in some way. But, yeah, most of the time it's just hatred on our DMs, and it's really bad. And so I just don't check them that often.
Yeah, and once again, if all your subscribers were the ones sending those messages, you probably wouldn't be in business very long.
Yeah.
So something tells me it's probably not them, right? Especially when like I said, when I started doing my homework, because of my lack of media knowledge and time spent on media outlets of any kind, I go on my TikTok detoxes because it's normally my 10:30 to 11:30 p.m. TikTok. So my account is currently deleted. I'll go on a 3 or 4 month delete session here, and then I'll download it again. But so all the research and homework I did with just people, 5-star, something tells me that it's not the people supporting you that are writing those things. But it's crazy, and that's my thing is like, if I have the time and energy to attack you online, I just wasted a lot of time and energy that I could have spent growing myself.
Right.
And growing Triple F. Rich Burnett moved here from Atlanta, Georgia, moved his whole family here. Nate Hoffmeister's my GM. He's got, young kids. Kevin O'Shea has moved here from Miami. He runs a lot of our program. Like, I got all these people that are counting on me. If I spend time attacking 5-star preps and getting an argument with you online, I probably didn't use my time to the best of my ability to grow this business and all the people counting on me.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. Like, I've had zero interest in attacking your company.
I appreciate it.
Let me spend that energy trying to better my own.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've heard this too, but there's something that piece of advice I heard a long time ago that kind of resonated. It's like, if you wouldn't go to that person for advice in life, then you should not care what they say whatsoever. And that kind of, again, I have pretty thick skin. Every now and then they kind of get me, but that really stuck with me, and kind of I try to live by it as much as I can.
Can I steal that one from you?
Sure.
I'm going to steal it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't come up with it.
And it's true. It's like if they don't know you,
Mm-hmm.
like they've never been inside your home and had, a glass of wine or a bottle of water or dinner, they don't know you. Like, why do you care what they say?
Mm-hmm.
But once again, it's human nature. And when you work so hard on that logo and this logo, and you pour into kids, and all you're trying, like you said, you literally hate writing negative things. Mm-hmm. All you want to do, and it's the reason that my kid and all the other kids that are down here at the gym are like, bro, you're going to be a 5 stars? That's awesome. It's like you want to empower them and positively rave about their successes. And then when you pour that much into somebody, especially when you do it for the right reasons to impact people, and then you get the negative, I won't use the word, it's like, just sometimes it is what it is. But yeah, 100%. All the folks out there, all the kids watching this who are 5-star fans and who live on 5-star preps, if you wouldn't ask them for advice, don't value what they say.
And also, if you want us to come to your school and cover you, like, trashing us is not the way. Like, why do I want to go to your school after you just cussed me out or call me whatever? Like, you think, oh, well, gosh, he called me, I better go out there and cover them now. That makes me not want to go to your school.
Correct. Well, it's the age-old thing. Guess what I would do to all the NFL referees? I knew their first name.
Mm-hmm.
I went to them. Hey, buddy, how you doing? How's your family? Da, da, da. How's the season going so far? Man, the weather sucks today in Buffalo, doesn't it? Wish you were in Miami or wherever, Tampa. Like, to where when my hand got a little outside, maybe they would say, nah, that's my guy. He's always so respectful. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, my college teachers, shout out to Marshall University. I used to take Brody Smith, who was freaking knee-high to a grasshopper and 1 year old, to meet my teachers. Hey, Miss Johnson, with college football and my young son and my wife, I just want to let you know that if I'm not here, there's a reason why. I'm not just skipping class, And now all of a sudden I'm respectful. Not only am I not the college football player that's sitting in the back of the room with my hood up who expects an A because I caught a pass. Like, I'm engaged, I'm in the front row, I'm like all these things. Everything in life is a human experience. To all the young people out there, be good to other humans. Make them feel like you care, and not because it's fake or you're blowing smoke. But if you're a genuine person and you impact someone's day in a positive way, most people want to give that back.
Right.
They don't want to, like the teacher that knows you're all playing football, you're raising a child, you're married, you're having to freaking pay a mortgage as a college football player. When you miss class, they're not gonna view it like they do the rest of the football players that are probably just hungover. Mm-hmm. But if I never go have that conversation, if I never go handle it in a positive way, if I don't speak to the referees before the game, like, it's like everything else, man. Like, people need to understand that you do not get more with negativity. Right. Negativity is not going to get you anywhere, ever in life.
Yeah, and I wish I could explain it to these people, but like I said, most of the time I don't respond or I don't see it, period. But when I do see it, I'm just like, these guys just don't get it. And that comes from youth. I mean, God knows what I would have said on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok when I was in high school. It probably would have been just as bad. So I try to take that into account and remember that and don't respond and don't get in social media fights with kids. But I wish there was a movement nowadays where, and gosh, coaches do so much already. So I don't want to throw this on coaches because they have to do so much already. But there needs to be some type of movement that shows athletes, people alike, man, how to act on social media. And we're just not getting that nowadays. This is like, as soon as they get it, it's like, oh, I'm going to say this to this person, or I'm going to do this to this person, see if I can get a rise out of them. And it's just become a cesspool at times.
100%. Because, like, I don't know what it is. It's got to be a dopamine release or some type of, just like you said, instant gratification. Mm-hmm. It's like there's no playground fights anymore. It's behind a TV screen or a computer screen, or it's wild, really, and it almost scares you for the future of, like. Mm-hmm. So they get into a real world altercation and have to have a real conversation at the job place or wherever, and it's like, man, it's not as easy not doing this.
Right.
Like, I actually have to talk and look
Somebody's
at this.
coming back at me.
I have to look at this person in their eyes, and it's fist fighting is a long dead thing for people. That was kind of fun back when that would solve things, but not anymore. But it's wild, man. I agree with you. Like, how do we? And once again, my thing is Christ, our athletes, like get our athletes to understand, once again, if you wouldn't take advice from them, if you have no idea who this person is, like, why are you arguing with someone you don't even know because of what they think or feel or what they said, which they might not even think or feel that. They're just saying it to get your response. Well, now they've won. Now they got exactly what they wanted.
And it looks worse on you than it does on them.
100%. And like, I've had teammates before, and they'll get into it with people on Twitter, and I'm like, "What are you? I'll go right. Like, what are you doing? You just made his day, or her day, or whoever. Like, and now they get to be on the golf course Sundays. I mean, I was about to say my man's name because one of my buddies is the worst about it. But I got him. Like, don't give him that gratification. Because it's just going to encourage him to do it to the next guy. It's going to ruin his day. So, but yeah, I mean, you're right. How to find a way to teach people, hey, I think it's just positive outlook in general, really. Like, just if you can't truly positively impact someone or something, then don't, like, the more negative you feed into your life, the more it's going to take over. You're going to thrive off of it. But anyways, there's my soapbox. Man, I love it. I'm excited. Triple F and 5-star together forever. I have no worries about that. We got some cool stuff coming up we won't talk about yet. I love what you do. All the kids love it. Every kid here is fired up for 5-star. It was cool to see all these kids go crazy and get excited when we first announced kind of our deal. And like I said, you got a little bit out of me this year, but I have a feeling it's going to be a lot more in the future, and we're going to do life together and do some cool things. So I'm fired up. Youth athletes, high school athletes in Knoxville. If you want a little coverage, you don't feel like you're getting what you need, just send a sweet text,
a nice email.
Nice email, DM to my guy. You never know, he might just show up.
That's right.
Go at him all crazy. You're going to be sitting there waiting on him. And then Triple F, 5-star. If your kid's a young athlete, man, we're going to love on you. And like I said, I'm not into the negative stuff. I'm not into highlighting the things that they fail at, or I don't even like the word failure. They struggle at. Listen, man, if it's a challenge, we're going to help them get through it. They're kids. They're freaking kids. And if anybody was a dumb kid in this town making horrible decisions, I remember him. I lived in his body and looked at him in the mirror every morning brushing my teeth. And it's like, goodness gracious, like, let's not beat up these kids. Let's empower them and help them and catch them when they fall. And if there's something negative that needs to be right based off of a situation that happened and is facts, well, guess what? We'll talk about it. But we're going to highlight and empower the positive. And that's why I think we're going to have a lot of fun together.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Appreciate y'all's friendship, the sponsorship, everything, and just you're a genuine guy. I think I feel like I have a good beat on people when I meet them, and so yeah, I'm excited about what we're going to do in the future.
I love it, man. I love it. Web golf, sorry.
Yep, you're lost.
You're lost. Here we are. All right, bro. My man.